Let's imagine what our planet would be like if it suddenly became 2 billion years old. A quarter of all living land animals would disappear, almost all of them being mammals from polar bears to blue whales. Only bacteria and a few other unicellular organisms would remain of all life forms that existed during that period. But how exactly did our world look like back then? Let's find out. A trip back in time 2 billion years ago would immediately make us feel pretty lonely. The first cellular organisms appeared only 3.7 billion years ago and dominated the planet for more than half a billion years. But even though the first multicellular organisms emerged around 600 million years before that, there were still no creatures with backbones among them. Back then, complex life had yet to appear on the planet. No trees, shrubs, grasses, or crops. And of course, no cities, factories, or highways. All this means that the journey back in time would take us to a primeval forest. It would be very hot here. According to scientists, 2 billion years ago, our planet was shrouded in a dense atmosphere that trapped heat well. The average temperature on Earth at that time could have reached 40 degrees Celsius, but seasonal temperature changes were probably much greater than they are now. In winter, the average temperature could drop to as low as 5 degrees Celsius, while in summer, it could rise to 70 degrees. Even without global warming, life would be quite difficult in such conditions. And if we think about plants adapted to such temperatures, we'll quickly realize that we won't be able to hide from the sun behind a tree. All trees on our planet evolved from woody vascular plants, which first appeared around 390 million years ago. Until that moment, plants growing on Earth were small, similar to modern mosses or algae. If you want to survive in such a forest, you should probably look for shelter in the mountains. Rising above the tree line, you can find yourself in an unfamiliar landscape dotted with bizarre formations of rocks and ice. Some of them may seem familiar to you, but don't rush to get excited. Despite the fact that the oldest known deposits of gold, silver, and lead on Earth are just 2 billion years old, they originated under completely different conditions. So you won't find a single gold mine here. You'll most likely see strange layered rocks called banded iron formations. They got their name because they consist of alternating layers of iron oxides and silica. These formations arose due to volcanic activity and the interaction between seawater and the atmosphere. Modern mining companies try to replicate these natural conditions to extract iron ore, but this is unlikely to help our traveler from the future. He will most likely need something else to survive. If you go down from the mountains, you can find large colonies of cyanobacteria in shallow water bodies. Some of them live in symbiosis with fungi and form structures that look a bit like modern lichen. But don't get too close. These bacteria were the first organisms that mastered photosynthesis. They enriched our planet's atmosphere with oxygen, but they also released toxins that caused mass extinction several times. Fortunately for our traveler, modern man has nothing to fear from them. He can easily deal with any of his rivals from 2 billion years ago, even if it's not alone. But what if our traveler stumbles upon a real dinosaur? Don't jump to conclusions. The thing is that according to some paleontologists' estimates, dinosaurs may have appeared on our planet as early as 230 million years ago. It's hard to believe, but that's true. Among the first dinosaurs was a relative of crocodiles named Proterosaurus. That's how the oldest dinosaur remains found to date, 200 million years old, were named. Of course, this reptile had nothing to do with the lizards that lived 145 million years ago, just as we have nothing in common with modern kangaroos. We both descended from common ancestors, but that happened very long ago. The main thing is that our traveler doesn't end up in the territory of Arthropleura. This is an extinct genus of giant millipedes that lived 300 million years ago. Some of its representatives grew up to 2.6 meters in length and looked like huge armored worms. Such an opponent would be extremely difficult to defeat, even if you're armed with a modern rifle. After all, these creatures could easily withstand shots and bullets. Their tough armor consisted of many small shields fused together, which were actually modified legs. The shells of arthropods were so strong that even today we can only find their fossils in a very rare form. Most likely, these fossils were formed when the corpses of arthropods were crushed by falling trees. But our traveler shouldn't count on finding shelter in the forest. Even if he manages to outrun the giant millipede, he'll soon run out of air. There were practically no free molecular oxygen in the atmosphere 300 million years ago. This means that a person from the future will have to use a breathing mask or gas mask to move around. Otherwise, he simply won't be able to breathe. Although it's worth noting that the emergence of oxygen is a relatively recent phenomenon in the history of our planet. It began around 2.4 billion years ago, but it wasn't until 600 million years later that its content in the atmosphere increased enough to form ozone holes. This protected Earth's inhabitants from harmful ultraviolet radiation. It's important to understand that our modern Earth has changed significantly over the past 2 billion years. For example, the chemical composition of the atmosphere has changed. It currently contains approximately 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, and 0.4% carbon dioxide. The atmosphere 2 billion years ago contained little free oxygen, and carbon dioxide levels were much higher. This meant that it was much more difficult for our modern animals and plants to survive. In addition, the ozone layer, which protects the Earth's surface from the sun's ultraviolet rays, formed only about 300 million years ago. Before that, the young Earth was bombarded with intense ultraviolet radiation, which destroyed the ozone layer and made the planet's surface virtually uninhabitable for modern life forms. By the way, plants and animals didn't always inhabit our planet. The first microorganisms appeared on it about 3.6 billion years ago. Initially, these were single-celled organisms similar to modern bacteria. Multicellular organisms appeared only about 600 million years ago. It took life on Earth about 3 billion years to develop. And even after that, evolution slowed down. From the point of view of evolution, we're still single-celled organisms. Mammals appeared only about 200 million years ago, and modern humans, Homo sapiens, only about 300,000 years ago. As you can see, our world 2 billion years ago would be very hostile to modern man. But what if we change the time coordinates and travel 2 billion years into the future? It's hard to say what exactly awaits us there, but astronomers have a few assumptions based on the development of our civilization. What will the climate be like? Some researchers suggest that by the year 2000, the average annual temperature on Earth will rise by 2 to 4 degrees. Others believe that the temperature increase will be much higher. The IPCC forecast is more optimistic. It assumes that by 2040, the average temperature will increase by no more than 3 degrees. But this is only the beginning. By 2300, the temperature on the planet could increase by as much as 20 degrees. This is fraught with melting glaciers and rising sea levels. Perhaps by that time, our descendants will learn to artificially maintain a comfortable climate and control global warming. Or maybe the sun will become a red giant and swallow everything around it. What cities will our planet be adorned with? 2 billion years later, modern megacities will surely turn into ruins. But it's unlikely that anyone will want to explore them. If humanity survives, it will most likely die out as a species, but new intelligent beings may appear on the planet. Who knows what their level of development will be? Maybe they'll build new cities, or maybe they'll prefer to live somewhere else. Some researchers believe that by 2 billion years, our solar system will be overcrowded. Many planets will become uninhabitable for humans, but aliens will feel great on them. By that time, the sun will expand and engulf Mercury and Venus. Earth and Mars will suffer less, but they'll still be affected by solar flares. Jupiter will get closer to Earth and may even capture its orbit. At the same time, asteroids and comets will continue to fall on the planet, destroying any life that might arise on it. In short, don't rush to rejoice at the prospect of living 2 billion years into the future. Our descendants may simply have nowhere to live, but perhaps it's better not to think about it and just enjoy the present. What do you think? Leave your thoughts in the comments and see you in the next video.